One other announcement, if you're joining us on Zoom, please use the hand raise function for questions. We'll address the questions in the room first, and if we have time, we'll go to the Zoom. How you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
All right. Joining us from UConn, student athletes Paige Beckers and Aaliyah Edwards. We'll go right to questions. Please wait for the microphone. Questions? Front row right here.
Hi, Pat Eaton-Robb from the Associated Press. Aaliyah, now that you've made it official that these are going to be your last 2 games in Storrs, can you just talk about your emotions going into the tournament, and is it going to be any different walking out on that court knowing it could be your last time?
Yeah, I think my emotions going into it is the same, just being ready and prepared for the team that we're playing against and what we got to get done one game at a time. But I think that I'm going to feel a lot more love than I usually do in Gampel, and I've been playing Gampel for a while now, so I feel like just the crowd's going to cheer a bit louder, but it's as long as they're cheering for UConn, that's all I can ask for, and it's going to feel special, but I just want to stay present and stay in the moment.
Question on the left, Maggie.
Maggie Vanoni, CT Insider. For Paige, what was it like for you to see Aaliyah's message yesterday and to know that she's taking this next step in her career?
Yeah, just like with Nika, obviously I'm coming back, so kind of partly sad, but also very partly proud in what she's been able to accomplish her 4 years here at UConn, and just an attitude full of gratefulness, gratitude for what we've been able to do together, the relationships and bonds that we've built these past 4 years, and just trying to embrace the rest of the time that we have left and not even think about the fact that they're both leaving, but just super proud and excited to see what's in store for her.
Questions? Alexa, right here on the aisle.
Alexa Philp at ESPN. For either or both of you, having so many freshmen on this team and knowing that this is their first experience with March Madness, what have you been showing them or telling them to get them ready for this moment?
Yeah, we're young, but we don't let that hold us back. I think that we've made it this far with the same team, and there's no difference. So I think as a leader, we're just trying to emphasize that it's the same standard that we hold ourselves to. It's just more is at stake, but that shouldn't change our game. We're still in control of what we can control, and just keep playing how they've been playing. I think they're built for this, and they've been playing fearless, so just stick with it.
Question, Lori on the left.
Lori Riley, Hartford Current. This is for Aaliyah. Can you just talk a little bit more about the decision? Was it hard to make? You know, was it difficult? Did it take you a long time to get to this point, or how did you go about doing that?
Oh my gosh, if it was easy, I would have made a decision at the start of the season. But no, it was a very difficult decision. Everyone can see how special this team is, but behind the scenes, they're even more special to me. And I talked to Coach after the Big East, and that's when I told him my decision. But I don't want it to take away from what we have left to do. It's a celebration, so I tried to emphasize of just how great this program has treated me, how great my teammates and coaches have treated me, and how special this family is to me. And I want to keep it that way, but we're not done yet. We still have a lot of game to play, and we're still trying to achieve our goal.
We'll go to Pat in the front row right here.
For both of you, but Paige, if you want to start, this is going to be the first round sellout in Storrs since 2002. There's been such a buzz around the women's game this year. Can you talk about what that means to you? What you think has led to all of a sudden people kind of discovering women's college basketball, and what it means to you guys to be playing in front of a sold-out crowd in the NCAA?
Yeah, just seeing the growth, even from my freshman year, of the respect and love, and I think a lot of it is the availability and accessibility, whether it's being on main sports streams like ESPN, Fox, ABC, stuff like that. Women's basketball is starting to be on those more, and you see more women's basketball posts on social media, Instagram, Twitter, all that. So just seeing, like, if you invest in women's sports, it goes a long way. And I've always said women's basketball, women's sports have always been great. It's just now more people are getting to notice it and see that. So the growth has been huge, and definitely here at UConn, they appreciate and love women's sports, women's basketball. So to be able to play in front of Gampel, in front of the best fans in the country, is always a pleasure.
I would also just add to that I think that we're all just happy to be a part of this shift and to continue to push this shift towards people just betting on women. It's important to us student athletes, but more importantly, it's important for the next generation.
Just a reminder, any questions on Zoom, please use the hand raise function. Any questions here? Come back up front.
Aaliyah, how are you physically, and will you be wearing the mask? And how is having gone through that last year going to help you if you are?
I'm doing well physically. Yes, I will be wearing the mask. It's going to make its appearance again. But moving forward, I've worn it before, so I'm more used to it now. But, yeah, I'm not going to let it distract me or anything like that. I'm still the same player, so same teammate, so just going to do what we do best, which is win and go out there and put out for UConn.
We have a question on Zoom. We'll go to Kurt. Kurt, what's your question?
Hey, Aaliyah, Kurt from TSN up in Canada. I'm just wondering, before and since you've declared to go to the WNBA, how much conversation have you had with family and friends back in Canada, and how's the reaction been from them?
Yeah, shout out Canada. You said TSN, I think I heard him say.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of love back home. Definitely, they said that they're going to tune in to us and follow us along the tournament. So, feeling the love and support. Yeah, my family was a huge factor in helping me make this decision. They've supported me for 4 years here and will support me forever. So, shout out to them and also my Canadian family. I wouldn't be here without them, and humble beginnings for sure. But I think that I'm going to make even more memories in my next chapter.
Any other questions for Paige or Leah?
For either of you guys, from a basketball standpoint, what have you just been focusing on in practice the last few weeks to be ready for the rest of the postseason?
Just tightening up on the little things, continue to hone in on what we're good at and keep practicing that, but also what we need to focus on moving forward in our weaknesses and teams are going to try to exploit. I think rebounding, defending, communication are huge things that we're working on this past couple weeks. But again, just looking at the film from the Big East tournament and seeing what we needed to improve on and really focusing on that and continuing to build championship habits in practice. And, yeah, just honing in on the little things.
Question right here from Pat.
For both of you, obviously you guys have gone through a lot of injuries this year, and now you're down to, basically playing 6 players through most of the game. Can you talk about your rest this last week and preparing for this, and how much of the coaches emphasize staying out of foul trouble?
Yeah, I think the whole season we've tried to balance work and rest, managing our loads, and the training staff, strength and conditioning staff, and the coaches have all worked together on that to do a very good job of trying to balance it as best as we can. But heading into the tournament, it's win or go home. You play every game like it's your last, and try to keep competing for 40 more minutes. So that's all we're really focused on. But again, just trying to make sure we don't overdo it, but also not taking too much rest, and that we have a lot to prepare for and a lot to be ready for. So I guess just kind of balancing those things.
Yeah, I mean, that's the obvious. I think that with limited players and not as deep of a bench as we would have hoped for, that's one of the factors that we need to take in consideration coming into these upcoming games. But I think that we'll do all right. We just got to stay more disciplined in the things we're trying to execute. And I think, as we said, this past 2 weeks or so, we've just been trying just to be staying intense and staying locked in, but also just playing smart. We got to play hard, but it's the smartness that's going to help us go far.
We'll go to Maggie, second row on the left.
Maggie Vanoni, CT Insider. Amalia, in your post yesterday, you said that UConn has made you ready and prepared for the next step. Can you just elaborate on that and what this program does to help people, marriage or go into that next career?
This program is built for pros. It trains you to be a pro from early on, and it challenges you. I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people don't understand with UConn, even though, Coach has all his accolades and Coach has created so much success for the program, for the players. I think the one thing with the players, it's a challenge and it's a grind all the way through. And at the end of the grind, in the moment, you may not see what's at the end of the light, but I feel like, as I said in the post, I feel ready, and I feel like Coach has prepared me, my teammates have prepared me, and I just feel mentally, physically, emotionally just ready. But as I said before, I don't want this to kind of pull us back from what we have left to do. But I'm excited for the next chapter, and I feel ready to go.
Questions? Kurt on Zoom, your hand is up. Do you have another question?
Sorry, no, sir.
Okay, questions here. Go back to Alexa.
Aaliyah, being on the sideline for the Big East tournament and watching Paige do what she did, but knowing that she's also done that all season, what's impressed you the most about how she's been able to pick up from where she left off this year and if anything, really elevate her game even more?
The one thing about Paige that I love is just I think that she doesn't let anything steer her off, or she's just always locked in. She always knows what she wants to do, how she's going to get it, and who she's going to bring along the way to help her do it. And I think that she's built for March. I think that she, just as a leader, she just knows how to close out games, what we need to hear as a team in the moment, and what we need of her and what we need to do to help her out at the same time. But I think that she just leads by example, and the energy and the competitiveness that she expresses, we all just pick up on it. And, I'm going to miss playing alongside that because it's hard to find a teammate like that. And even coming in from freshman year together and not playing as much games as we wanted to and as many years as we wanted to, but I think that, she's built for this month and she's built for this team, and she's going to lead UConn to many more wins.
Paige, Aaliyah, thank you and good luck.
Thanks, Aaliyah.
Coach, how you doing?
What's going on?
We're joined by Gino Auriemma. Coach, do you have an opening statement or you want to go right to questions? We'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, how about we get started?
Questions for Coach?
That's a good one.
All right.
That's a good one.
We'll go right to Pat in the front row.
Pat Eaton-Robb from the Associated Press. Gino, with such a short bench going into the NCAA tournament, what have you been talking to them about in terms of being able to stay fresh and being able to stay out of foul trouble and all the things that go with only having this many players?
Yeah, it's funny because what we talk to our team about and what we talk about among ourselves as a coaching staff sometimes can be two completely different things, We talk to our team about how we've got all the pieces in place, we have everything that we need. We just need to try to recreate another weekend like last weekend, obviously different competition that we haven't seen before and different stakes. And for some of our older guys, which is 3 of them. It's not anything that they haven't experienced before. And trying to give them as much confidence as possible going in to the younger guys, obviously. Among ourselves and the coaches, hey, look, we have one way to win. If that way doesn't work, we're screwed, and early vacation. So, we have such limited ways of winning games that we have to be great at the one or two things that we are really, really good at, and we have to maximize those things and limit all the other things that can be going against us.
Question. Alexa.
Alexa Philpoot, ESPN. Gino, you mentioned the seniors that you do have. What do you need to see from them over the next few weeks to get to where you think you guys can go? And on the kind of flip side of that, how do you hope that they can help the freshmen kind of move along and do what they need to do at the same time?
Well, our seniors, they've got to play a role that is both within the control of who they are. They just got to be who they are. And then they've also got to play the role of putting up a front that if they're struggling with something, they can't let the younger guys know that we're struggling. They've got to keep a certain level. And I think the scoring, the rebounding, the leadership, the defense, all those things that those three are capable of doing, they're going to do. There's no doubt in my mind. They're going to do it. And I always go into every season, and maybe this is a new season, with the understanding that we have to win this with our veterans. And if the younger guys contribute, then that makes it that much easier to accomplish our goal. But we can't go in thinking, well, if our three seniors really struggle, the other guys will pick it up. It's not fair. That's not to say it can't happen, but it's not fair. As far as the younger guys, without mentioning any names, like there's 4 of them, right? They range from the NCAA tournament, what's that? To delusional, I can win a national championship by myself. So they run that gamut, all 4 of them. So it'll be interesting to see which one of those shows up.
Go to Lori.
Lori Riley, Hartford Current. Gino, can you just talk a little bit about Aaliyah's decision that she made yesterday?
Nothing that was unexpected, to be honest with you. There's only been actually 2 conversations that I've had with Aaliyah about this. One was a while back when it was brought to my attention that she might consider coming back. So I talked to her about it and gave her all the pros and cons. And at the end of the day, I said it's going to be your comfort level. And whichever way you go, obviously we'll be fine with it. But I always thought it was a real long shot because I think there is a cycle in college basketball. You spend 4 years someplace, you give it, like same thing Nika said, you pretty much pour everything you have into it, and then it's time to move on and go on to the next phase of your life. Nika's reason for doing it may have been different than Aaliyah's. And I don't think Nika's going to be a top 5, 6, or 7 draft pick. So her reasons may be different for going. And Paige's situation is different for staying. So I think everyone did what I thought they would do. Let's put it that way. None of them surprised me.
Go to Maggie on the left.
Maggie Bononi, CT Insider. Speaking about depth, Jackson State plays with almost double what you guys play with in terms of just available bodies. Just what do you see from them that really impresses you so far?
The interesting thing is you don't get to see much of some of the teams you're going to play in the NCAA tournament. So there's this, first of all, there's this misconception that because you never hear of them and you never see them, that, well, how can they be any good? So obviously we've never subscribed to that, and then watching them play, you could see why they've dominated that league and why they're so well coached and how hard they play and the things that they do are the things that make it difficult to play against. And it doesn't matter whether you're in their league or whether the non-conference games that they've played. Yeah, this is a reason you want to be a #1 seed, so you don't get this matchup in the first round. You know, I always say during, later in the season, I don't care what seed we are, we just want to get in. Well, that's a bunch of crap because you're trying to avoid this game in the first round because they're good.
Question from Vicky on the right.
Vicky Fulkerson from the New London Day. Gino, I was going to ask you that, like, they have a 6'6" post player, so just automatically that makes things, like, interesting, right? Like,
Right.
That's one of the things that, like, Aaliyah has to handle that and not get foul
Yeah.
trouble, and it just, like you said, it complicates the whole thing.
Yeah, it does. It does. And a lot of times the NCAA tournament is truly about the matchups that you get. Each coach probably sits down and looks at their bracket and says, all right, here's the 16 teams in our bracket. We're going to have to play 6 of them. Here's the 6 we want to play because they fit our matchups perfectly. The chances of that ever happening are 0, all right? So you're going to run into situations where you're going to have to deal with something that's not your strength, and obviously size is not our strength. So that does pose a problem immediately. Their depth, there are things that you're going to come across. They rebound the ball hard. They get out in transition. They're undefeated in their league for a reason. One of the things I like to ask when we're getting ready to play in the NCAA tournament and we're playing somebody we've never seen before, I always ask, so how do they win? And then when they tell you how they win, it makes it sound like they're the favorite to win a national championship. And a lot of times when you say, well, how do they lose? And then they list 15 things why a team loses. Well, I asked our guys, so why do they lose? And they said, well, they don't lose in their tournament. And every game they did lose early on, it was a really tough game. So you can tell a lot about a team's losses, almost more than you can tell about their wins. And this is complicated tomorrow. This is complicated.
We'll go to Pat in the front row.
Gino, the portal opened before the tournament even began, and I think there's some crazy number, like 570 players in it right now. Several coaches have talked about how it's not that much fun anymore with these new rules. And do you expect there to be a lot of turnover in coaching because it's just become so different? And how do you deal with preparing for the tournament and then keeping an eye on the portal and NIL and all that?
I love the people that do TV or media or sit up there and, are holier than thou advocating for how the student athletes have been punished all these years and they're actually indentured servants and they should stop be treating as such. If any of them ever got a coaching job, they would flip 180 degrees immediately. So yeah, talking about playing tomorrow's game is complicated. This whole thing is complicated. And it's gotten more complicated because the adults in the room don't know how to fix it, and every decision they make is wrong. So you're left to deal with it. Any one of those things, NIL, the portal, would have been a challenge for most coaches in the country. Putting the two of them together and having to navigate both of those things. And for all those people out there, and coaches included, that say, well, you just have to adapt. All right. So if it's so easy to adapt, why are so many coaches so quick to get out all of a sudden at an age when you don't see people get out at that age? So not only are players deciding I've had it with this school, coaches are deciding I've had it with this profession. And it's not about I can't adapt or I can't do. It's, you know, those two things combined, the portal and the NIL, left to its own devices the way it is not only going to hurt the coaching profession and people are going to get out. First of all, it's killed the high school recruiting, because why would you recruit a high school kid when you can recruit a college kid? And second of all, it's killed every mid-major in America who've now become junior colleges, so to speak, because as soon as they develop a good player, that player's leaving. And then at the high majors, it's costing you money to get the kid there, and it's costing you money to keep the kid there. And it's costing you more money to make sure they don't leave. So no one is skating through this scenario going, yeah, I got this figured out. Nobody. Not the players, not the coaches, not anybody has it figured out. And that's unfortunate, but that's the world that has been created for us as coaches and the players as players. And unless somebody gets a grip of it and puts some, you know, guidelines around it, it's only going to get worse. And the last thing I would say, the unintended consequences of all this is that's 500 Division I players in the portal after 4 or 5 days. What do you think is going to happen after this tournament? How many more are going in? And you've got till May 11th, I think it is, something like that. So there's a long way to go between now and then. How many of all these kids that get in, when the musical chairs stop, have no chair to sit in? And they're in an actually worse situation than they think they're in right now. No one talks about that. They should be free to go wherever they go. Good. What they don't understand is that school is free to not take you, and you're stuck. So that's all this is unfortunate, the way it's played out.
We'll take a question from Zoom. Kurt? Maybe?
No Zooming allowed.
I guess not.
No Zooming allowed. If you're not here, you're not here. Everyone who's here is here.
Kurt?
Apologies, Coach.
No worries.
Yeah, and I should clearly I should be there. Just quick question. It's Kurt Burns from TSN Canada. With Aaliyah's announcement yesterday, I'm wondering if you were able to just kind of reflect on her, on a more overarching, her 4 years of development or growth at UConn.
Yeah. Aaliyah coming out of high school, I remember watching her intently at the NBA Academy. They actually they had it at the Final Four. Actually, it was I think we were in Tampa, and ironically, she and Nika were roommates. But watching her play was just this young, competitive, you know, run up and down hard every possession, and obviously very impressive, but needed, like most kids that age, to kind of harness all that and develop certain basketball skills. And over the 4 years, you know, she's been able to add something each and every year that she's been here. And her competitiveness is still, you know, way above average. Her athletic ability, or, you know, her toughness is way above average. And learning how to play against players where she's undersized, probably gets her ready for the next level, because that's what's going to happen a lot at the next level. And it's unfortunate that we've not been able, and this goes for Nika and Paige as well, that we've not been able to surround these three seniors with an entire team, almost the entire 4 years that they've been here. So, you know, Aaliyah's had to work under much more trying situations than most players would have had to. And I think she's been, you know, unbelievably consistent. And when you've had to do it by yourself so long, it's wearing. And she's managed to just, you know, be great for us every night. Because, you know, she has no choice, really. She has to be great.
We have time for two more. We'll go to Carl on the right, and then over to Maggie on the left.
Carl Adam at Cross Media. Gino, know how the freshmen have contributed, but want to ask about Cadence in particular. What kind of progress do you think she's made? How do you see her, what she needs to do in the offseason, looking ahead, and you know, and just the role she's kind of filled? I asked her to look up Vinnie Johnson from the Detroit Pistons, the microwave sort of thing, but and I noticed you shake your head. But anyway, can you talk about her?
You don't need to encourage her to do that. Well, Jamel said this yesterday. He said she just looked at me and she was smiling a little bit. She said, "Coach, you saw something in her during recruiting, and whatever that was, you still keep seeing it in her, and she keeps showing you that the things you saw are really, really, really there." She's a gamer. She's competitive. She's not shy about shooting the ball. She finishes instinctively around the basket, way different than anybody other than Paige on our team. She's long. She's got a toughness about her. At some point in her life, she will, what's the easiest way to say it? She will come to understand that not every shot is a great shot just because you have the ball in your hands. That there are times when it's best not to shoot it. I didn't want to say that earlier in the year, and we're probably going to have to live with those in the tournament, because some are going to go and some are not going to go. So for the summer, understanding what that is going to be a big key, and then being better with the ball when you don't shoot it. I think that's the next thing for her, going to be a stop. Be better with the ball when you don't shoot it. Be better with where you're going on the dribble. Be better with where you're going with the pass. And I expect her to do that.
Time for one more. Maggie on the left.
Maggie Benoni, CT Insider. Gino, I'm just wondering if you saw Shay's win on Wednesday and just what she's done so far at Vanderbilt.
She was complaining that getting in about might have to be in a playing game. Oh my God, I hope we don't have to go here. Like all the things that coaches obsess about. And I reminded her that just getting in her second year was already a huge accomplishment, and she could coach at Vanderbilt for the rest of her life just for doing that, because it's been so long, you know, since that feeling has happened at Vanderbilt. And no surprise that they won, and won't be a surprise if they win the next one. I don't even know who they play, but it won't be a surprise to me, because there's a style of play that they have, you know. She and Tom, you know, Tom brought a lot of his stuff that he was doing, and Shay brought a lot of stuff that she's been doing. And that match, I think, has been terrific for them. And they have an identity, they have a style. And those are two very, very competitive people, Shay and Tom. and they've passed that down to their team. Their team is super competitive. It doesn't usually happen that fast. You know, they won their first NCAA tournament game. I texted her and I said, I'm jealous. I said, it took until our third try for us to win our first game, and both of those were home that we lost. So I'm super proud of her. I can't say enough about the job that she's done. And they're in our bracket, aren't they? Not in ours, though. They're in Portland, right? Are they in our bracket? I didn't even check that far down. I only know this weekend. They are? Is there a chance that we would play them if we keep winning? All right, I hope we play them then. Hell yeah, I hope we play them. So I'm going to be rooting for her until then.
Coach, thank you.
All right, thank you.
As a reminder, Hammond Communications will post a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Digital Hub at ncaaveritone.com. Transcripts